All right, you guys, happy Friday. Happy Valentine's Day for all you lovers out there. I should have worn pink or something, but I did not. Anyways, there will be a mix up today of politics and culture, I promise. First and foremost, I should tell you that I have a major scoop regarding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, their newest legal plan or something that they were attempting. Plus, in case you missed it, Ari Emanuel, that's their powerful agent over at WME, has now spoken on their behalf on the Freakonomics podcast or the Freakonomics radio show. And great news for us, quote unquote, anti-vaxxers, because RFK Jr. just got confirmed, which makes it the dawn of a new era. I'm just so excited. I really am just so excited. It's already a great start to the year. And we have to get to JD Vance as well, because he just gave an incredibly courageous speech in front of the Munich conference. So I think the best political speech in my recent memory. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to Candace. Okay, Liz Plank. This is very interesting. So, in case you're forgetting who she is, Liz Plank was the co-host of the Man Enough podcast alongside Justin Baldoni. And then, as soon as Blake Lively filed her complaint, Liz Plank was out, instantly said she quit, a show of support and solidarity with Blake after everything dropped. And people began looking into it. And particularly, there was this TikToker, Steph with the Deets, who had showed that perhaps the reason that motivated her to get on the side of Blake Lively without actually looking into anything, or at least speaking to her co-host and hearing his side of things, may have been what we have discovered since, a repeat sort of Ryan Reynolds psychopathic strategy of essentially love bombing people, giving them roles they don't deserve in places that they don't belong, and basically pretending to be the best, most amazing friend because the person that they're targeting and the person that they want to isolate is a person like Justin Baldoni who's connected to that individual. It's all about isolation. And so Liz Plank was a perfect person for them to go after because first and foremost, if you don't know anything about her, I had never heard her name before this scandal. She's kind of branded herself as like the ultimate feminist. You know, she is also Canadian, and everything that she does, like I think she majored in women's studies at McGill University, and she's very carefully done work as a big supporter of gender equality, right? So if you're thinking that you're going to go down this route as Blake Lively did, it would be a perfect person to kind of butter up and say, oh my gosh, you're never going to believe what I lived through on set, which is actually captured on camera and was really nothing. But the other element of this is when we recognize that Ryan Reynolds, and this is Steph with the Deets again, had put her in this program, this documentary called Welcome to Wrexham. Essentially, I think it's in like its 4th season, and it's Ryan Reynolds and Rob, I'm going to say his last name wrong, McElhenney, who are essentially documenting the rise of this sports team that we know Ryan Reynolds owns a portion of. And so he flew her out to be a part of this series. I did not actually, because Steph with the Deets didn't show it, see the clip. I did not see what her expertise were that were required for her to participate in this documentary. And ladies and gentlemen, just buckle up. This is amazing. If you really want to get into how psychotic Ryan Reynolds is, the fact that he cast her as an expert for this will really clarify that for you, okay? I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be something important. No, she appeared as an expert to deliver to audiences what the definition of a bromance is. Take a listen.
The definition of the word bromance is just, it's a platonic relationship between two men. There's no female equivalent to the term bromance. The female equivalent is friends. And so the fact that we need a term to describe two men going out to dinner, I think, is very revealing about what men are allowed or are not allowed to do, and how much self-policing there is when it comes to their relationships with other men. So bromance is almost this permission for men to connect and to show love to each other because it's like a joke.
There you have it, ladies and gents. That's likely why she sold out Justin Baldoni. An amazing opportunity. I mean, how did Ryan Reynolds even approach her for that? How, when he in his mind, he's like, I just got to make up something because I don't really have anything for her, and but we need her on our side. And so he probably flew her out private to the UK for that. He probably said and overpaid her. Well, we can pay you $100,000 if you could be our expert. Yeah, I could get that approved, budget approved. $100K for you to speak on the expertise of the bromance culture and the significance when you weigh it against women and their friendship. What? What? Like, literally, if you need proof that he was just making stuff up and giving people positions, that's it right there, okay? I just needed to show you guys that before I even got into the scoop. So, you remember last episode when we were speaking about this, I showed you also Marcos, who's another TikToker who essentially got his video banned because he had received a tip that the Reynolds family was lobbying Jenny Slate to join as a plaintiff. And Jenny Slate was pushing back on that, and he had heard from somebody in the orbit that was true. Well, I similarly heard, and I will say to protect myself, allegedly, but I don't know why I'm protecting myself because I do kind of want to be involved in this lawsuit. I'm doing a lot here to be involved in this lawsuit. But I heard on very good authority that the same was done to Liz Plank, okay? So they primed her, got her as an expert of bromance. Sorry, serious expert of bromances, put her on the show. She's a perfect candidate. She's a feminist. And then they tried to pull the Me Too button. She instantly took their side, jumped off of the podcast with him, made a statement. And then they basically asked her to join in as a plaintiff. And what I was told was, like, Jenny Slate said, hell no. Her and her people have obviously gone through everything, have read the lawsuits, like a fuller picture rather than just Blake's emotions, and they do not want to go anywhere near this with a 10-foot pole. And so they are behind the scenes, not just lobbying, allegedly, Jenny Slate, also Liz Plank. They are literally looking for any individual that will jump on board and solidify her statements that Justin Baldoni is a creep, and they are routinely and continually coming up dry because that's what happens when you lie. Speaking of people who just lie, let's talk about Ari Emanuel, okay? Now, you may have missed this. Ari Emanuel is a very powerful guy. He is, you could argue, the most powerful person in Hollywood, okay? He is the CEO of WME. That is the agency that is involved in this lawsuit. Obviously, the agency that instantly dropped Justin Baldoni when she filed her complaint, initially the CRD complaint in Los Angeles. And essentially, I did not know this, he is actually Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' agent. So they are his clients. You have the CEO, chairman of WME and Endeavor, and these are his clients. So Ari Emanuel decided to appear on the Freakonomics radio podcast show. The episode has not dropped. It played on the radio, and it's already broken in the press, but we could not pull the clips yet because they had not yet put it up on their podcast. It's due later today. And he discussed what was going on with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, and I'm going to quote you what he said, the various quotes. He said, quote, "I am a ride or die, and they're good people. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade. They're really incredible people. In Hollywood, they have been incredibly successful. People work with them. They've never had any bad mojo out there or treated people badly. They are charitable. We help them with their foundation. They've given tons of money away." He also said, quote, Blake felt that she was not being protected. She complained, and then these people tried to go after her. They should stop. They're still trying to do it. They should stop. If what is alleged in her lawsuit, that what happened on social media is true, just because she complained to the studio that things were unhealthy on set and that he was director and this man was a producer and they did to her what is being alleged, they're really bad people. He then said, quote, "Social media is a really good thing at times because it lets people, stars, connect with their fans. But Baldoni and Heath used it in an evil way, if that's true. We just have to be cognizant that social media can ruin people, and they should no longer be out there intimidating people, using social media now and trying to hurt them and abusing them. Baldoni's team should just stop since they think they're innocent and let the process play itself out." Lastly, he said this, and this is my favorite part of his quotations. He says, "I mean, it is an effed up bad situation. What Baldoni, whatever his name is doing." And then when the host who was speaking with him, who's Stephen Dubner, points out that Baldoni used to be on the WME roster, Ari shoots back, until I fired him. Oh, Ari's so powerful. Big bad until I fired him. Amazing. He's so powerful, guys, and he's so cool that he doesn't even remember his name. It's Baloney, Baldoni, whatever your name is, kid. Ha 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 ha. Ari, Starry, Fari, whatever your name is, kid. Ha ha ha. I don't understand how they do not understand why we do not like them. This is I mean, just the idea of not even having the decent enough respect to say his name, Justin Baldoni. He has obviously read through all of the messages, but he's just going to come out here and say they're good people because they give money to charity. And I do believe this is what celebrities do. They're terrible human beings. They show up on red carpets like the Amfar Gala in their expensive wear to be seen, to be photographed, and they give away $1 million. And then guess what, guys? That's it. That's their indulgence. That's it. You got to just accept that they're good people. They gave $500,000 to charity this year. So that doesn't matter how they're treating other people. Okay, then, guys, well, Ari Emanuel is the most powerful guy in Hollywood, and he has spoken out. So I guess case closed. As long as Ryan and Blake are being nice to billionaires, right? Why are we upset? Do you hear that? Oh, they're probably also nice to Oprah, I'd imagine, and Mark Zuckerberg. And hey, obviously they've been friends with Taylor Swift for 10 years. So clearly, if you have enough money, which Ari Emanuel does, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds will be nice to you. So what exactly is the problem here? All you little mom sleuths and everybody following this case and reading through the messages and seeing how horrific they are, reading the messages they sent, okay? Not imagining how they treated them, being able to read the messages, being able to see how they were speaking to people behind the scenes, calling herself, oh, I could just have very powerful people ruin your life. I've got dragons. So yeah, I guess we're supposed to just accept what Ari Emanuel says because they think we're stupid. Okay, people in Hollywood think people like you and I are stupid. We're too stupid to recognize that what he is doing, clearly, for all you guys, we're just a bunch of midwits, is protecting a business asset, okay? He makes millions off of them. He wants them to be successful because he collects millions off of them. That's what it means to be an agent. You sign deals, I take a piece of it. He does not want their brand to die because it hurts his pockets. But he's trying to pitch it to you another way because he thinks, again, you're a bunch of midwits, okay? So let's get into who Ari Emanuel is in general. Per Bloomberg, he has a personal net worth of at least $1 billion. He also owns TKO Stake Holdings, which has both the UFC and the WWE under its umbrella. Interesting story, by the way. I think he's got to be a guy who likes me too, because Endeavor did a deal with UFC. Did a deal with WWE, and the McMahon family owned it forever. Suddenly, Vince McMahon gets Me Too'd, and he sells off a bunch of his stake to Endeavor, which made Ari certainly a lot richer. So I don't know, maybe this is just a repeat strategy in Hollywood. I've long suspected that the Me Too movement was actually being authored by men behind the scenes, and now I'm interested in that, and we'll get to that later. Okay, he is the CEO, as I mentioned, of the Endeavor Talent Agency, which is the multi-billion-dollar talent agency which has subsidiaries including Wall Group, Art Plus Commerce, M2M, the model management firm that you've heard of, IMG Models, that represents Gigi Hadid, Gisele Bündchen. Last year, it was reported that he took home $64.9 million, okay? It's like he enjoys a $65 million pay package as the CEO of the TKO Group. And don't even get me started on his brother, Rahm Emanuel, who bankrupted Chicago. Absolute crook. He should be in prison. And then there's his other brother, Ezekiel, known as Zeke, Geek, Leak. Were we rhyming Ari here? Whatever his name is, okay? He's a pharmaceutical lobbyist who was on the COVID-19 advisory board. So, like, stay at home, save lives, let grandma die alone, trust the science. And essentially, Ari's picking up this same thing. He wants you to simply trust the science when it comes to Blake and Ryan. He wants you to accept that Blake and Ryan are always kind to billionaires. So I want you to remember that the next time that you are thinking about this and you are reading their own words and understanding what they said, I want you to stop yourself and say, but I bet they've been really nice to Jeff Bezos. It sounds like they're really nice to Gigi Hadid. And I'm sure Blake Lively would be really sweet to someone like Gisele Bündchen. So what's the big deal? Seriously, guys, these billionaires are just not like us at all. Essentially, they believe that they are in a class of society in which it is perfectly permissible to align yourselves with evil people so long as it earns you revenue. Because that's what Ari Emanuel's saying. Like, these people, they're great. They earn me revenue. I'm richer than them, so they're nice to me. and the rest of you need to booger off because these are my assets. That's what he's saying, which is why I think it's fine for us, if we want to listen to him, to completely ignore the fact that something I reported on my Instagram stories yesterday, that there are people who are speaking out about how they have been abused, which he just doesn't see it anymore. He doesn't see it anywhere. Social media is a bad thing sometimes, he says, because then people can get around us. We control the Hollywood Reporter. We can control Deadline. We can control the New York Times. But man, those moms on Insta, what are they doing? They're snooping and they're finding stuff like what we found when we came across Barbara Zeman. Now, who is Barbara Zeman? She was the 4th assistant director for A Simple Favor, the first movie, the first installment of the film with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. And the actor who played Blake's husband in that film is reprising his role in the second film, which is due to drop any day. And it's this guy named, an actor named Henry Golding. So he posted a promotional poster for the film on his Instagram, which is another Simple Favor. It's coming out. And Barbara, the former 4th assistant director, wrote this. She wrote, "I worked with you on the first one. My experience with everyone was absolutely amazing, except for a certain someone who is the reason I quit being an AD. Guess who that person is? I wish you all the best with this, though." So she posted that, internet sleuths caught it, started circulating, and then a bunch of people were commenting, essentially like asking her to expand more on what happened, offering her support. And then 6 days later, she replied in the comment section and she wrote, "Thanks for the kindness. I want to avoid attention around this, but I will say," referring to Blake, "she was cruel to many. I know I cried my way home many nights because you try so hard to please someone who is never pleased and puts you down constantly. I can't believe it's actually getting back at her. Karma is real." And this obviously blew up, partially because I shared it, other people shared it. And now she has disappeared from the platform because it's made the news. People speaking about their experience with her, as many people have come out and spoken about their various experiences with Blake Lively. And again, we are reading the text messages ourselves. But don't believe your own eyes. Don't listen to Barbara because you're not rich enough, okay? Ari Emanuel wants you to know they give money to charity. Could you give $1 million to an AIDS foundation or to a hurricane relief? All right, then booger off, guys. This is how Hollywood thinks of the little people. Also, don't listen to Blake even in her own words, because like we covered last week, she has openly admitted that she does exactly what Justin Baldoni's team accuses her of, pretending that she's just going to be an actress, and then she intentionally takes over movies. Also, if she doesn't get what she wants, or if somebody is cast that she doesn't like, she's openly admitted that she poisons the whole cast against people. That's what she admitted back in 2009, at least, in a Glamour magazine article, which she was on the cover. I remember this, guys. I'm telling you, I was working at Glamour magazine when I told you that she was the cover shoot, and that my boss that I was working for said she was awful and she was the rudest person that she ever worked for. This was the cover of the magazine. Take it to the bank. I worked at Glamour when this magazine was happening, okay? So she was initially upset. This is a quote from her. She was initially upset that Penn Badgley, who became her future boyfriend, got hired for the role. She said in the magazine, quote, "At first, I was so upset that they hired him, I actually poisoned the whole cast against him. But then they noticed that he wasn't a jerk and was actually really nice, charming person. Almost immediately, I realized that too. But it took me about a week to admit it." So Blakey no likey. Then Blakey's going to go after you and poison the whole cast against you. And now she's got the money and the resources to poison the cast around you, including people on an unrelated podcast to her life, to fly out to the UK to offer some really sound, sage opinion and advice and expertise on the topic of romances. I hope she writes a book. I really do hope Liz Plank writes a book so I can fully understand what exactly a bromance is and how I should weigh it against my female friendships. Anyways, trust the science, like I said, because she's really nice to billionaires. And the most egregious update, by the way, in this lawsuit, it was egregious to me. I was like personally offended by this when I saw this headline. I was freaking out, okay? Essentially, how you should perceive this is Blake Lively is now openly admitting that she did not have a shred of evidence when she conspired to ruin Justin Baldoni's entire life, okay? Why do we know that? Because of a subpoena. That information came to the public in the form of a subpoena on Wednesday. In case you missed it, her and Ryan Reynolds' lawyers sent a subpoena to 3 phone carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, seeking records pertaining to Baldoni, producer Jamie Heath, and of course the billionaire Wayfarer Studios co-founder Steve Sarowitz. Okay, now the subpoenas also are against the publicists that are involved, Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan. Not entirely unusual to subpoena messages, by the way, pertaining to a lawsuit. That's actually totally normal. If you think that there are some messages, it's a limited scope that you get. I've been involved in this. You give them forward and it allows them to look for a piece of evidence that they insist is in there, whatever. But this is not what they're doing. This is not a limited scope subpoena. This is what a spokesperson for Lively said. They said, quote, phone records belonging to all of the individual defendants will expose the full web of individuals who were involved in the smear campaign against Ms. Lively. Such records will provide critical and irrefutable evidence not only about who, but also about when, where, and how their retaliation plan came together and operated. So you're thinking, wow, they must have a smoking gun in there. And then Brian Friedman drops this, okay? Basically, they are asking not just for messages pertaining to this lawsuit, like so that they know that they're looking for a conversation between so-and-so and so-and-so on this week, on this day. They are seeking all calls, text, and location data, everything in their phone, stretching back 2.5 years. They want everything, every message they've ever sent, okay? Brian Friedman said, quote, this massive fishing expedition demonstrates that they are desperately seeking any factual basis for their provably false claims. They will find none, okay? You don't ask for every message in someone's entire phone spanning back 2.5 years. Like I was personally offended when I heard this because I think what they're relying on is, again, people in the public to be stupid and think that that's normal. Of course it's not normal. Could you know what you would find? Basically, you could paint any person in the entire world as a bad person if you had access to 2.5 years of out of context messages. I would be painted as the most racist person in the entire world. The amount of times that I send racist messages to my sisters, like literally like every day, I'm like, stop doing that. Stop being black. Wake up. Stop being black, out of context. Oh my God, the headline would read, Candace Owens told her sister, stop being black. Why would she say this? How could she do this? I send terrible messages, horrific messages to my girlfriends, joking, funny messages, Savannah, redneck messages, Mark. I lean into the media stereotype of me being anti-Semitic. I send Jewish jokes to Mark. Could you imagine you just get access to everything and you get to just throw it into a lawsuit out of context and someone has to defend themselves of like, oh yeah, no, I don't hate black people. That's just me talking to my little sister. That's how we speak to each other. That's how we show love. That's what they're asking for. I've got like photos of my kids' thighs sent to my husband, sent to a pediatrician. Like, is that a rash? Is it eczema? Like, you're not getting, you have no right to ask for 2.5 years of every single message sent from somebody's phone. That is absurd. It is ridiculous. And again, it relies on fundamental stupidity. Okay. You believe the public is fundamentally stupid. So I think the game they were playing is they were going to request this. Obviously, they're going to hit back hard. Like, first off, the PR people, Melissa, Nathan, who else is on the PR side? They didn't even join this lawsuit. They didn't even come on until August as crisis PR. Why on earth would they give you 2.5 years of messages when they weren't even representing this individual until the very end of this when things went down? Oh, I know, because you want everything so you can paint people as horrific people out of context. So I say the best response to this is actually, I strangely feel that 2.5 years of Justin Baldoni's messages are going to be really nice. Do you kind of agree? I feel like it's going to be so annoying and he's going to be so painfully nice for 2.5 years. And I'm just going to give him a noogies, okay? But like, fair game. Let him have it, actually, Brian Friedman, as long as you get to have 2.5 years of every single message that Blake and Ryan have ever sent. Because I would love to have 2.5 years of messages between Blake and Taylor Swift because there is something there. My instinct tells me, I just know she's doing the abracadabra magic trick and she's going to go away because she knows the public is like onto her. She's very close. Icarus knows when it's flying too close to the sun, okay? Taylor Swift, Icarus knows. She's like, oh, she's coming down. I'm like, no, let's bring you back up. I want 2.5 years of your messages. Play the game. That's what I think. I say play it because I actually have full faith that Justin Baldoni is not texting his sister racist stuff like I do. all the time to my sisters, both of them, actually, all the time. I really do. It's terrible. Anyways, we will keep you updated on that. But I also wanted to tell you that we were able to confirm at least one of the posts that Colleen Hoover deleted from her Instagram since returning a couple of days ago. Essentially, she had reposted onto her main page a message that was written and shared on December 22nd, so 2 days after Blake Lively filed her federal complaint in court. Her CRD complaint in Los Angeles. Her Sisterhood of the Lively Pants friends, actresses, America Ferrera, Amber Rose, Tamlin, and Alexis Bledel, I think is her name. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Anyways, they were her co-stars in a 2005 film, and they have maintained their friendship over years. They penned this long letter of support, essentially saying that, quote, as Blake's friends and sisters for over 20 years, we stand with her in solidarity as she fights back against the reported campaign. Throughout the filming of It Ends With Us, we saw her summon the courage to ask for a safe workplace for herself and colleagues on set. And we are appalled to read the evidence of premeditated and vindictive effort that ensued to discredit her voice. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You get the point there. Like, they're just like, and Colleen Hoover saw this and she decided to repost it onto her Instagram. And this is what she included as the caption underneath the post. She wrote, I thought this note was beautiful and I was going to share it in my stories like I shared my post about Blake in my stories yesterday. I wanted to show support, but I had anxiety thinking of putting my post about Blake in my feed and sending myself into a mental spiral from the inevitable comments. They can be vile, and over the last year or two, there's been a huge shift in my attitude towards social media. She then goes on to say, but this statement from these women and Blake's ability to refuse to sit down and be buried has been nothing short of inspiring. Seeing these three women stand up for their friend when they know good and well they're going to be ripped apart by the people who choose not to accept or read the receipts is inspiring. I am done being afraid to post in fear of the comment section hurting my reputation. I do not care about my future legacy. I never have. I care about the people who are currently in my life, who I love and know and trust. And I care about the readers who have supported me along the way and who reach out daily to ask where I've been and why I haven't released a book in years. The answer is simple. We have become a cruel society of judges who expect perfection, blah, blah, blah. So she makes a very strong statement, and you can now say it was against Justin Baldoni. She reposted not only what the Sisters of the Traveling Pants, whatever it's called, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants wrote, but she also includes her own sentiment and uses that phrase implying that Justin orchestrated this campaign to bury Blake Lively. And so I'm going to say this. Colleen Hoover needs to come out and offer a full-throated apology to Justin Baldoni. She does. There's no way around this. There's no escaping this. There's no deleting posts and pretending that didn't happen. You need to take accountability, okay? You didn't allow him to respond. You didn't allow him to answer. He was the person who brought your book to life, and you loved him. You wanted him to play this role. You obviously had a good experience with him, and you let all of that change because you got a little dizzy-eyed when you saw A-listers that were pumping you with love. The public, by the way, will be incredibly understandable when you say that I believed her. Okay, fine. I get that. You're allowed to, upon first instinct, not be able to perceive the level of evil in Hollywood. I get that. You're new to the town and you don't understand how these people work. And like I said, I do believe that Me Too has been weaponized in the industry by people like Ari Emanuel who just want to take over people's businesses, okay? And I think they encourage this sort of stuff. And I think maybe Ari Emanuel sees himself in Ryan Reynolds, right? Hungry, willing to do whatever it is, taking over movies, putting credits of things that they didn't do, things that they didn't create, and in the process kind of creating an empire for yourself. But the reality is, Colleen Hoover, is that you fell for it, you made a strong statement, and you hurt this person, and you hurt his family, and his kids will have to grow up one day to read that, a person who wanted nothing more other than to bring your vision to life, the vision of your readers to life, really, what they saw when they read this book. So you got to put on your big girl pants, and you got to apologize, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that topic. All right, guys, throwing it to one of our sponsors, PDS Debt. I know there are a lot of people that feel buried under credit card bills, personal loans, or medical debt. It is like your money is working harder for your lenders than it is for you, but it does not have to be that way. PDS Debt does more than just help you manage your debt. They empower you to take control. Using their platform, they go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and craft a personalized plan designed just for you. And here is the best part: there is no minimum credit score required. So whether your credit is bad or fair, they are here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, which is in your savings account. Getting started is extremely easy. You just go to pdsdebt.com/Candace to complete your free debt assessment to see what options are available to you. Every day that you wait, it will cost you money. So get started with your free debt analysis in just 30 seconds at pdsdebt.com/Candace. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Candace. Take back control today by visiting pdsdebt.com/Candace. Also, Goldco, because you know President Trump is back. He loves gold, and that could be really good for gold and silver. Under Trump's first term, the price of gold soared 53%, and the price of silver jumped 51%. So gold may continue to break records in 2025 and beyond. Gold and silver have been used as a store of value for centuries. The government can't easily manipulate it, and they're known as hedges against market risk and inflation. And that's why I have personally bought gold and silver from my great partners at Goldco. Goldco is a top-rated precious metals company. They have supported this show from the very beginning, and they've helped hardworking Americans purchase over $3 billion in gold and silver. They know what they are doing. Right now, you can get a free copy of their 2025 gold and silver kit. On top of that, you could also qualify for up to $15,000 in bonus silver, possibly even more. So to learn more, go to CandaceLikesGold.com. Easy to remember, CandaceLikesGold.com. All right, guys, first thing I want to do, by the way, is issue a correction. Yesterday, for those of you, the millions of you that are following the Becoming Brigitte series, it was brought to our attention that we accidentally put up a photo of the wrong David Rothschild when we were covering the connections of Emmanuel Macron and who put him into power. We showed this photo of David Mayer de Rothschild, who is actually like an artist, environmentalist. He is in the family. Obviously, his father is Evelyn de Rothschild, but the correct photo that we should have shown is David Rene de Rothschild, and he is the one who essentially just magically put Macron into power, despite the fact that his colleagues said he was an absolute idiot who didn't even know what EBITDA stood for. So that is the correct David de Rothschild, and of course, we always want to make sure that we do so much fact-checking here that we want to be accurate and not misidentify someone. All right, guys, beyond that, RFK being confirmed, moms rejoice, okay? Anti-vax moms rejoice. We won this. We did this. And by the way, to conservative moms, we got to give credit to the left on this one. Crunchy culture came from the left. I'm sorry. It was like crazy lefty moms were the first ones that were getting all weird and granola, and everyone thought it was weird and crazy. And then we started jumping on the train. I don't know why it happened. For me, obviously, I was vaccine injured, and there was no information out there for a person who knew. I knew from the time I was 20, I was not going to vax my children. After I got injured from the Gardasil vaccine, I had a mini seizure literally in the room. So there was no gaslighting me. And the doctor said, you shouldn't complete the series. There was no way someone was going to gaslight me and tell me that, like, you know, this doesn't happen, or like vaccines can't hurt you. And it has been such a climb. The only person that I was able to get resources from was RFK Jr. And so for him to be a big reason that I think a lot of people came together on the left and the right, and to know that he is now confirmed, the final vote tally was 52-48. And it was nearly entirely along party lines to confirm him. I would say on the Republican side, it was just Mitch McConnell, the only Republican to vote against Kennedy's nomination, which was really strange. And his reason for it was he gave this statement: I'm a survivor of childhood polio. In my lifetime, I've watched vaccines save millions of lives from devastating diseases across America and around the world. I won't finish that, but I want to let you know that these lies are not going to stand anymore, because people are waking up. And that is why this blessing of me being able to have a shot in the dark, you know, it's now back up on CandaceOwens.com for all of you moms that are having children, and you maybe are not at all anti-vax, but you also feel this tremendous pressure from big pharma, you know, the doctors, the pediatricians, everyone that you're looking for, like, vaccines are good, they're amazing. And you're like, wait, I don't know anything about this. I at least want to not feel like I'm being spoken to like they're just using medical jargon and I'm just an idiot. I want to just know something. It is such a great starting place. I essentially took what I was able to learn from RFK Jr. and I turned it into a podcast called A Shot in the Dark, and it's available on CandaceOwens.com, and you should share it with your friends, especially for first-time moms. We cover every single vaccine that's on there. And so I'm just very, very happy. It is such a win, and it is a win for all parents who are tired of being lectured. And I do think for that reason, by the way, COVID was a gift. As crazy it was the shutdowns, as crazy as it was with being away from our parents, relatives, the people that had to suffer not even being by the side of their loved ones when they died. What it did do was it fundamentally transformed society. And so people who would have been so against this conversation, who would have never allowed for this conversation to happen, would have just screamed, "You're an anti-vaxxer," are willing to listen now because they now realize something is very wrong and something is very deranged with the medical institution. And they're starting to wonder, is it all about profit? And my answer to you would be, yes, it is. And you will not be offended watching that series. I'm very gentle in going through everything, and I just arm you with the facts, and I give you questions to ask your doctor about every single vaccine that they are trying to push on your children. And so I hope that helps. I know that it will help. I'm very proud of that series. I think it's the most important work that I've ever done, truly. By the way, JD Vance. Okay, don't know how you guys feel about him. Love to hear it. People on the left, I feel like he's actually kind of maybe liked. He's very, very smart, obviously. Well, he did this incredible thing. So he attended the Munich Security Conference. And essentially, this conference has taken place since the 1960s. And you're supposed to sit up there and talk about the threats, like the threats to Western establishment, and it's supposed to be Russia and Iran, and everyone gets up there, and this is what we have to do. We have to protect Ukraine, whatever. I'm not into any of that, okay? I think maybe the only thing worse than the pharmaceutical industrial complex is the military industrial complex, and we're all missing out, and our countries are not safer, our cities are not cleaner, and we're constantly being told that we need to get to work because we need to defend somebody else's cities. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And I know that's a very conservative perspective. It's one that I stand by. And so actually it used to be a leftist perspective to be anti-war. I don't know. Times have changed. They really have changed. Anyways, JD Vance addresses the Munich Security Conference, which is filled obviously with all of these state leaders and European state leaders, European politicians, and they feel so good about themselves. We're Europe, we're the West, we're the best. And he just shreds them for what they've become, what we have all become. I am telling you guys, we have felt a squeeze. America is not as free as we used to be when it comes to speech, when it comes to being able to have a political opinion without the media coming after you, trying to get your entire life canceled. There was no cancel culture in the 90s. You got to go back and see old episodes of the topics that Oprah was covering. This one would have been called Adolf Hitler. If she literally used to cover satanic cults. And when I even said satanic cult on an old episode of YouTube, my episode got taken down. And, our freedoms are removed very slowly. We have to be aware of that. And sometimes I think we can be so passionate and so against an individual or so in the web of media lies, really believing what the media is telling us about someone is true, that we would be willing to give up our freedoms to have that person canceled. You don't realize that it doesn't stop with that person, right? You're giving the media the ultimate power. You're giving the media the power to ruin somebody's life. And we don't want to do that. So even if we think we hate one another, we should defend each other's right to speak. And Europe hasn't been doing that as of late. What's going on in Europe is terrifying. They have become exactly what they hate. We were supposed to march in and end wars. God forbid, the Nazis. Oh my gosh, you couldn't say things. All of the stuff that you learned, Europe is now becoming that. And JD Vance just calls them out on it on stage. It's an amazing clip and that we're going to show you. This is only 3 minutes of the speech. You should very much go watch the entire thing. But this is what JD Vance had to say. Take a listen.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. What no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. You either uphold the principle or you don't. Europeans, the people, have a voice. European leaders have a choice. And my strong belief is that we do not need to be afraid of the future. You can embrace what your people tell you, even when it's surprising, even when you don't agree. And if you do so, you can face the future with certainty and with confidence, knowing that the nation stands behind each of you.
I just loved this so much because he's essentially looking at these people in the face and saying everything that you claim that we need to go to war to defeat, you have become, right? You have become totalitarian. Everything that you tell us we should be fearful of in terms of communism. Think about what the entire Cold War, the reason that this was established was really about, oh gosh, God forbid this creeps into the United States. You're arresting people for wrongthink. People show up on your door, at your door, police officers in the UK for wrongthink. And for those of you that are following the Becoming Brigitte series, think about how far France has taken it. They're not even just arresting their journalists. They're now trying to extend their arm into America and send legal threats to Americans. Truly, I wish JD Vance had mentioned that. The absolute gall for this dweeb of a couple to think that they are going to silence our speech. What gives them that authority? It's because, well, things have become incredibly globalist. You have the elites at the top who have a lot of power, and you have people like us who are revolting against that power in many different capacities, whether it's, again, against big pharma or whether it's against the WEF. We're realizing something is very wrong, and we're losing our individual freedoms, our ability to express, and they try to distract us by turning us against one another. And the most important thing is for us to recognize who holds true power, okay? And I will tell you one thing, it's a lot of people that are in that room. And so for JD Vance to do this, a tremendous credit to him. Like I said, go listen to his entire speech. They were shocked. They were expecting him to get up there and like, rah, 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 Russia, rah, 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 Iran. Here's the next war we got to get to, the never-ending war that essentially we just money launder money to ourselves and our countries get poorer and more dilapidated over time. And he just took it right to them. So congrats to JD Vance on just an incredible speech. A really brave speech, and hopefully it got a lot of people in that room thinking. Most of all, Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte, how dare you? Literally, how dare you? That's all I can say about that. I'm feeling like Greta Thunberg in her heyday, you know? All right, guys, before I get into your comments, I want to remind you about Tax Network USA because the IRS, as you know, is the largest collection agency in the world. They're stepping up enforcement for 2025. So if you owe back taxes today or you have unfiled returns, do not wait for the IRS to come after you. Simply avoiding your tax troubles is the worst thing that you can do. Even if you have anxiety about it, you have to get ahead of it. This is the smart move. You should, of course, never, ever, ever contact the IRS alone. Turn it over to the team at Tax Network USA. Why? Because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS. This means that they know which agents that they can deal with and which ones that they should avoid. So Tax Network USA has proven strategies that are designed to settle your tax problems in your favor. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their attorneys and negotiators have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. So talk with one of their strategists. It's completely free. Stop the threatening letters that are coming to your home. Stop looking over your shoulder and put your IRS troubles behind you once and for all. You can do that by calling 1-800-958-1000, or more simply, you can just visit tnusa.com/Candace. Again, that's tnusa.com/Candace. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. First up, Butterlims. What a name. Writes, hi, Candace. My wife wants to know, what are your pregnancy and postpartum workouts that you recommend? Thank you. Sending love from the Bronx. You're not going to believe this, but I've actually been working on a pregnancy workout app, because obviously people always ask me this question. And I was like, why don't I just create an app? And I said it, and my husband built it. So it's kind of incredible. That's kind of how things go. I'm like, I have an idea. And then my husband makes everything happen, because he's so brilliant and so amazing. And so I will be able to share much more of that with you after I am done giving birth. We've been working on it actually since last year. And the app is functional. I just have a lot of recording that I need to do when I am actually postpartum, so that you guys can do the journey with me. But I really do believe in anaerobic activity, short workouts, and then a couple of days of long cardio is the short answer. John Ray writes, Blake Lively needs to go away. She's the most useless distraction ever. She has zero fans, as in she brings zero joy to people. We want Macron tea. Listen, well, don't worry about that. The interview with Xavier is dropping on Monday. I know it's a day off for most people, so you can literally stay home and watch it in its entirety. You can use the weekend, if you have not gotten into the Brigitte series, to catch up on it. I am very proud of the work that we did. I'm also proud to announce that Xavier Poussard's book is at the top of the book charts under politics, and it's number 23 overall, Becoming Brigitte. So I presented it. Xavier Poussard wrote the book. I essentially presented his book in the series, and it is 23 overall in Amazon Books, which is incredible. Number 1 in politics. So you guys did that. Thank you. And his family, who had to uproot their entire lives after being harassed for taxes. I couldn't think of, they so deserve this. 8 years of investigative reporting while running from the evil Macron family and their goons. Kimberly writes, before people start causing problems that'll be public, they'll have to calculate the Candace O effect now. Thank you for saying that, but truly, I always just give it back to you guys. You guys are the ones that write in these tips. Yes, I get obsessed and I become a psycho, but you guys do too. And that's what's amazing. We just share this knack for realizing that we are bigger than the media. We don't need people like Ari Emanuel and the Hollywood Reporter tell us what to think about people. We have eyes, we have ears, and we can research ourselves, and we can very clearly see who is wrong in this scenario, and it is not Justin Baldoni. Who the hell's John writes, it's strange that Ryan's mom joked about finding Ryan a new dad in that strange promo, considering Justin has spoken in interviews about repairing his rocky relationship with his own father recently. Yeah, I think that was part of what really triggered Ryan about Justin was doing a lot of work to kind of go back and make sure that he cured traumas from his childhood, and clearly Ryan had not. He took it as a personal shot. My best guess, as I've said all along, is that Blake opened up to him, as is implied in that skit when the mom says, call me Ryan, that Blake opened up to him about Ryan's unresolved trauma. His dad died. He never dealt with it, because why would he? He's an egomaniac. He wouldn't have dealt with all of the issues with his parents, and his mom just looks like a victim of Ryan too. So I know we're supposed to think Ryan's dad was the bad guy, but I would say Ryan probably became his father if he was the bad guy. Seems controlling, narcissistic, abusive in every clip that I've seen of him, now that we know the context of it. But anyways, I think you're absolutely right. I think he was very triggered by Justin Baldoni having resolved those issues and found peace in his life. There's a lesson in there for all of us, man. Let it go. Let the anger go. Solve the relationships, because you don't want to end up like Ryan Reynolds, who, if he wasn't an actor, I'm not saying he would have been a serial killer. I'm just interested in what he would have been doing if he wasn't acting. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Guys, head to CandaceOwens.com if you'd like to support the show and support our independence. Have a wonderful long weekend if you're one of the many people who are not working on Monday. But we will be here on Monday. We're not going to be here physically, but we'll be dropping our Xavier Poussard long-awaited interview to wrap up the Becoming Brigitte series. See you guys then.